And this is the last talk of this in this Dharma retreat. I hope you really gain some benefit from learning the Dharma, whether given by Venerable Shi, Venerable Yenrong, or me. So, so now we are on the last stage, approaching the Nirvana. Okay, so please fasten your seatbelt. We are how can I say approaching the Nirvana now. Okay, let me share with you my screen. So someone said, best don't just start here. I might have to draw. Oh, okay. Okay, share screen. So everyone can see now. Okay, everyone can see my slides, whole slides, right? Okay. Oh, yesterday I mentioned that sentient beings have different types of misunderstanding in relation to Nirvana, because they comprehend Nirvana under the framework of self-view. One particular misunderstanding is they think Nirvana means annihilation. In this time of Dharma ending age, sentient beings are deluded. So you know the age, Dharma ending age, we have the age of righteous Dharma, age of similar Dharma, and age of Dharma ending, something like this. So as a result, towards the pure, righteous, and true Buddha Dharma, they may have doubts and even slander it. Fortunately, the Buddhas have boundless skillful methods. And for the sake of this kind of sentient beings who attach strongly to a self, they are given an alternative set of teachings. So next we convey some alternative ways that Nirvana has been explained by the Buddha to cater to those who cling tight to a self. The explanation is about transformed state. I forget to change the wording. It should be transformed state, not entity. Okay. Transformed state is the term unique to Mahayana Buddhism. Transformed state means nirvana and expresses how the body and mind, which makes up the state, undergoes a transformation that transcends the ordinary worldly state. This can be regarded as explaining nirvana from the aspect of manifestation. There are two ways to explain state. One focuses on the mind and the other on the nature of emptiness. The first explanation of state is based on the mind. The mind is the object to be depended upon and is called the state that becomes defiled or pure. The reason is because the defiled aspect of the mind is the cause for cyclic existence, and the pure aspects of the mind is the cause for nirvana. The mind is what is transformed from defiled to pure. That is, beings transform from cyclic existence to nirvana. Cyclic existence is full of inequalities, while nirvana has a nature of equality. This explanation is what the Mahayana teachings of the consciousness-only school especially focus on. The other states is explained using the nature of all dharmas or the nature of emptiness. This true nature of emptiness is the object to be relied and is called the state that influences whether one is deluded or awakened. The nature of dharmas is the absolute and the true nature of all phenomena. If one is deluded towards this true nature, then delusion of defiled cyclic existence manifests. If one is awakened to this true nature, then the pure and the virtuous nature of all dharmas is revealed, and this is called nirvana. So why we are the ordinary being? Because we don't see the truth. As long as we see the truth, we become enlightened, okay? So whether state is explained using the mind or nature of dharmas, the process of the state's transformation reveals the virtues and functions of nirvana. And this is the uniqueness of the Mahayana schools, whose teachings are based on some notion of existence. Okay. Now let's look more in detail about the notion of transforming from a defiled state to a pure state. The afflictions, karma, and resultant sufferings of ordinary beings all fall within the scope of defilement. The morality, meditative concentration, wisdom, and other such virtues of the sages all fall within the scope of purity. However, these defilements and purity all depend on the mind, right? This mind is called the alaya, okay? So it sounds very a bit mystery, but I will explain more for you so that you can understand alaya more. So this mind is called the alaya consciousness in the consciousness-only school. The alaya is the most subtle form of mental consciousness. This most subtle alaya consciousness is the pivotal point between cyclic existence and nirvana. Sentient beings experience all sorts of suffering arising from cyclic existence, and such sufferings are due to the defiled seeds in the alaya consciousness. These seeds should be understood as potentials, not really a concrete seed in our mind, okay? So is the seeds refers to the idea of potentials. The defiled seeds have the potential to give rise to afflictions, karma, and results. For example, defiled seeds can give rise to greed, hatred, and other such defiled mental activities. The consequent activities of the body and speech become defiled karma, such as killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, and so forth. Even if the actions are wholesome, these karmas are still defiled because they arise from the view of a self. Such wholesome karma still results in cyclic existence, but the results are relatively pleasant in the form of birth in the human or heavenly realms. The results are due to karma, and defilements nourishes karma to give rise to results. Essentially, all results, karma, and defilements manifest from the defiled seeds in the mind. The manifested defiled activities in turn develop into all sorts of new defiled seeds. So the alaya then accumulates these defiled seeds. So the process is the seeds give rise the defiled activity, and then this activity create new defiled seeds in the alaya consciousness, okay? The existing defiled seeds manifest new activities, and these activities then develop new seeds. That's the process. In this way, cause and effect continue on without end. And this is how beings endlessly cycle through this ocean of suffering. The alaya consciousness is a defiled mind that accumulates defiled seeds. From the perspective of karma and its results, this alaya consciousness is the main body that experiences the results. Therefore, it is also called the retribution consciousness. This is another name for alaya consciousness, okay? From the perspective of the subtle self-view that projects individual beings, the alaya consciousness is what is embraced and attached to. That is, the alaya is the object that self-view erroneously clings onto as the self. This is because the alaya consciousness has the ability to combine everything into one and is continuous. Hence, it is incorrectly viewed as the permanent and the individual self. Given that the alaya consciousness continuously produces defiled seeds and manifested activities, does that mean it is impossible to be liberated from this defiled cyclic existence? No. Fortunately, in this most subtle mind consciousness, they are also pure seeds. Therefore, sentient beings are neither entirely wholesome nor entirely unwholesome. Rather, the mind contains all the seeds of defilement and purity. Sentient beings are not completely devoid of wholesome potentials or undefiled seeds. It is just that for most of the time, these undefiled seeds are buried or outnumbered by defilement seeds, and so it appears as if everything is defiled. Okay, so we need to increase our undefiled seeds so that we can reduce or decrease the defiled seed. Okay. We are unable to experience liberation due to the manifestations of defilements, karma, and suffering. In order to attain liberation, we need to apply ways to cause the pure seeds embedded in the depths of our mind to manifest and become active. This can be in the form of having faith in the Triple Gem, listening to the Dharma teachings, reciting sutras, upholding the Buddhist precepts, and so on. These practices are the beginning of the transformation. This is like going somewhere. In the past, we have taken the wrong worldly route, and now we know to change our direction and move to the Buddha path. Okay. Using the Buddha Dharma to continually practice. Gradually, the defiled potentials will decrease and the pure potentials will increase in strength, such that it becomes a very strong, wholesome, latent force. Further practice will then completely subdue the defiled potentials, and from undefiled pure seeds, there will manifest pure wisdom and other virtues, while defilement will naturally be brought to an end. On the worldly roots, the mind was the object of reliance for defilements in the process of transformation, and after being transformed, the mind is the object of reliance for pure dharmas. This is the meaning of transformation states. Under this explanation, the final and complete transformation is attained at the stage of Buddhahood, where all wholesome and pure potentials are fully manifested and active, while all defiled potentials have been brought to an end. After the initial experience of awakening, the wholesome potentials or seeds will manifest while the strands of defilements are subdued. But the latent forces of defilement, the defiled karma, still remain and may arise from time to time. One needs to go through a stage of continually taming and overcoming these latent defiled forces. That is, to keep battling with the remaining and the more subtle defilements. In the end, one will arrive at this stage where there is only purity and all defiled seeds are completely overcome. At this point, one attains liberation that is absolute and pure, which means they attain complete nirvana. Okay. The methods of practice to attain nirvana are none other than the paths of morality, meditative concentration, and wisdom, the 6 paramitas, and the 4 all-embracing virtues. When someone has completely transformed from defilement to purity, not only have they overcome all unwholesomeness, they also accomplish boundless wholesome virtues and attain unlimited transcendental abilities. Therefore, Mahayana's nirvana is not devoid of everything and thus have wondrous functions. After attaining complete transformation, the resultant pure mind is not the same as the present defiled alaya consciousness. In the alaya, our current illusory discriminations accord with defilement. But after our consciousness is transformed into wisdom, there is no more discrimination. Perfect transcendental wisdom is complete with all sorts of wondrous functions to benefit sentient beings, and all pure virtues are accomplished. The information concerning accomplishment of pure virtues can also be found in the Agama texts. The Buddha's disciple Shariputra returned to his hometown and entered Nirvana, which means passed away. Shariputra's disciple, the novice Kunti, followed the proper procedure and cremated Shariputra's body. He then took the ashes to see the Buddha. At that time, Ananda was around, and when he saw his teacher Shariputra's ashes, he was very sad and full of grief. The Buddha then asked Ananda, "Your teacher has entered Nirvana, but has his wholesome and pure virtues of morality, concentration, as well as his profound wisdom all disappear?" Ananda replied, "No, they have not disappeared." The Buddha then said, "Since his suffering of cyclic existence has now ceased and all pure virtues have not disappeared, why then are you so sad?" So this dialogue reflects the same view as the Mahayana Nirvana, which is complete with virtues, right? From the aspects of defiled to pure state, the emphasis is on the virtues of morality, meditative concentration, and wisdom gained through practice. After transformation from defilement to purity, the results of suffering disappear, and what naturally remains is simply virtues. Therefore, after attaining Buddhahood, one is able to continue on without end to save sentient beings. That is, the sage can respond to sentient beings' needs based on the causes and conditions and manifest in any form to teach sentient beings the Dharma. Do not apply the view of a self to the notion of the Buddha's complete nirvana or parinirvana. Self-view and nirvana can never align. The transformed state, that is, the Buddha's nirvana, has great bodhi or great awakening as its foundation. The thorough awakening to the selfless nature of phenomena is what makes all Buddhas truly equal, and they merge harmoniously with each other. The Buddha's nirvana, which is complete with all virtues and thoroughly awakens to selflessness, has no discrimination at all. Therefore, all the suffering that arises from relativity, contradiction, and so forth also disappear. What we have looked at is the explanation of nirvana in terms of a transformation from a defiled to a pure state. Remember, these teachings are meant for those who cannot grapple with the notion of emptiness. The Buddhas possess countless skills and abilities which are used to cater to sentient beings. For some learners, they are taught about nirvana using another method. The method explains the notion of a transformation state from the aspect of moving from diluted to an awakened state. This approach is from the aspect of the true nature of phenomena, which is also called true nature. True here means it is not false, and nature shows the meaning of without duality. This is referring to the empty nature of all phenomena. In other words, the focus is on the truth, the universal characteristic of all things. Why do sentient beings cycle through life and death? It is because we have not awakened to the true nature of all phenomena. We have delusions and erroneous attachments that lead us to create karma and hence endure the resultant suffering. If we practice and awaken to the true nature of phenomena, we will attain liberation from cyclic existence. True nature is non-dual, and hence it is said, true nature does not increase for sages, nor decrease for ordinary beings. This means this meaning is captured in the Heart Sutra. I know that on your weekend classes, you all recite Heart Sutra, right? So you should be familiar with these lines. The empty nature of all dharmas neither rise nor fall, is not defiled or pure, does not increase or decrease. Your version may be translated a bit different, but the meaning should be the same, okay? Although the empty nature of all phenomena has been and is always as such, since time without beginning, we have been blinded to this true nature due to the stream of cause and effect arising from ignorance, self-view, and defilements. Just like dark clouds covering the clear sky. Although we have delusions and defilements, the true nature of all sentient beings is still pure, illuminous, and originally complete with all virtues. So, can you start to see how such teachings can help to allay the fears of those who cannot grapple with emptiness and the selflessness? Okay, so ordinary people think that there is a real, permanent, and innately pure self that cycles from one life to the next. Hence, there are notions of soul or Atman. They think that the deluded being and awakened liberated being is one and the same. Nowadays, there are teachings that say sentient beings, though deluded, permanently abide in true nature and does not change or disappear. This method is able to cater to those who fear emptiness, selflessness, and nirvana, and allow such people to more easily have faith in nirvana. So it's sort of skillful means to teach those people has fear on emptiness, selflessness, and so on. After all, if you have no faith in nirvana, you will not want to practice Buddha Dharma properly. When the Buddha was alive, there was the heretic who spoke to Buddha and said, "Oh, world-honored one, your teachings are all good except for one aspect, and that is the aspect of selflessness. This aspect is scary and very hard to believe and accept." The Buddha replied, "Oh, don't worry, I also teach about the existence of self." This is referring to the teaching on Tathagata Garbha. It's a difficult term. Well, it's alternative teaching, alternative teaching for the teaching on emptiness, okay? Sorry. So after hearing this Tathagata Garbha teaching, the heretic was happy and accepted the Buddha's teachings. According to the Lankavatara Sutra, it is because sentient beings fear selflessness and For the sake of embracing the heretics that attach to a self, therefore they are taught the Tathagata Garbha as a skillful means. That is, sentient beings are ignorant about the Tathagata Garbha, and so they endure endless suffering. If they awaken to Tathagata Garbha, they will gain Nirvana, which is where all permanent and inherently pure virtues will perfectly manifest. The circle of Chinese Buddhists especially emphasizes this skillful means and propagates it extensively. But if we overlooked the true meaning why the Buddha taught the Tathagata Garbha, then unavoidably the teachings will be similar to the heretics' teachings on an intrinsic self. It should be known that the Tathagata Garbha was a special teaching used by the Buddha to teach heretics that attach to a self. Okay. In truth, the Tathagata Garbha is none other than a synonym for the empty nature of all phenomena. So Tathagata Garbha is the empty nature, okay? In order to be free from the defilements and attain liberation, we must thoroughly penetrate and understand selflessness, which is Tathagata Garbha. Okay, so Tathagata Garbha means equal to the teaching of selflessness, but use different way to teach. Okay. In terms of the empty nature of all phenomena, essentially there is no difference between that of ordinary people and sages. Both have inherent true natures that are pure, just like the nature of space is universally clear. While in the state of an ordinary being, due to the shrouding of defilement, and this body, which is comprised of the five aggregates, sentient beings are unable to see clearly their true nature, just as the clear sky is covered with dark clouds. If, like the bodhisattvas, we make the Bodhi vow and undertake practice, gradually we begin the transformation, and once we have transformed our ignorance into wisdom, it would be as if a great gust of wind blows the dark clouds away and the clear sky is revealed. The more that clouds are disappeared, the more of sky we can see, right? So when all the clouds have gone, what can be seen is the vast, clear blue sky. This is called the purest realm of dharmas, which is essentially the complete nirvana or parinirvana. Conclusion. Those living the good life may never consider that life is a problem, but cyclic existence is a major problem. The problem stems from attachment to an intrinsic self. Therefore, if we want to end cyclic existence, we must break through self-view. Only with selflessness can there be freedom from abstractions and the attainment of complete nirvana. The difference between ordinary beings and sages lies in attachment to a self and the realization of selflessness. Sages thoroughly understand selflessness and so have no obstacle at all. They are absolutely free. Ordinary beings attached to an intrinsic self and hence meet with abstractions everywhere. After entering nirvana, there are no more restrictions, contradictions, fear, and suffering. Everything is always peaceful, free, and pure. All of this is obtainable by awakening to emptiness and selflessness. The view of nirvana as being without suffering and discriminations, being unfathomable, still, equal, and false, are consistent across both the Shravakayana and the Mahayana teachings. Nirvana is explained in terms of the elimination of relativity between individuals through the insight into selflessness. However, the Mahayana has teachings on nirvana that are unique, and these teachings emphasize the functioning of compassion and wisdom as a single pure virtue. Such functions allow those who have entered nirvana to respond to sentient beings' needs based on the causes and conditions. So nirvana is not something that can really be described or imagined. If we want to realize nirvana and experience equality and freedom that is permanent, it can only be gained with practice and the wisdom of selflessness. So that's all about the talk on nirvana. I hope you do gain some clear understanding on nirvana and know how to practice the Buddha Dharma so that we someday can attain nirvana. Okay, now we got some time for questions. So if you have any question, please raise your hand and ask. Yeah, Tom said we attend nirvana together. Sure. We will. Okay. So any question?
I have a question, Venerable.
Yes, please, Jane.
Thank you. So you had said the alaya is what is attached to as the self. And so alaya is a consciousness. So do the other aggregates factor in at all to what is attached to?
Aggregates, you mean
Yeah, the other four aggregates.
well, it's the in the mental aspect, you know, in the mental aspect. Well, so for us, we attach to our body, right? Body include the mental body and physical body. But in the subtle consciousness level, you know, we had different level of consciousness. So a certain, or us in the subtle level of consciousness, they are different function, and they one function attached to the other, the other one, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
very
I
difficult
understand.
to explain. So I hope maybe next year we can talk about the alaya consciousness, but it's very it's very interesting, but it's difficult to understand because it's not our experience, you know. But the sages indicate or show us how uh, the deep consciousness work, and so that manifests the appearance we have.
Thank you. That makes sense.
Okay, thank you. So
Okay,
any,
Venerable.
yes, please.
Hi, Venerable ChangTzu.
Yeah, yeah,
Very frequently, Henry.
yes,
Yes,
yes, yeah,
very frequently in your presentation, you use the word selflessness.
yes,
In my understanding,
yes,
selflessness means a state of not being selfish. So
yes, exactly. Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's what you mean. Do you mean the word non-self rather than not being selfish?
Well, when we have the wisdom of non-self, we will not be selfish. Does that make sense? Because we have the self-view, so we are selfish. Once we have uh, the wisdom of non-self, we will not be selfish. We will be very generous and eager or willing to help others, even though we may be very tired. We don't think about self.
That's
We
right.
just think about benefiting others, something like that. Does that make sense?
Well, I'm not sure. I was just wondering if you mean the word non-self instead of selflessness, you know.
Yeah, no, non-self. It actually, I'm non-self means selflessness. Well, I'm not sure whether Venerable Bhikkhu Bodhi used this such term, Jen, selflessness. I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
Maybe it's my
not self.
non-self.
Not
He used
self. Yeah.
non-self. Yeah,
Yeah, non-self, yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
my understanding of selflessness means not being selfish, you see, as might have a slightly different meaning, you know.
Yes, but this is from the function aspect. You know,
Right.
non-self is sort of quality, but
Yes.
selflessness is from the function. We are not selfish anymore. You know, different
Right.
aspects. Yeah, yeah. The meaning slightly different, but because the aspect different. So sometimes we describe the same thing by use different aspect or perspective. So that we can understand. So the quality, how it function, or how it look like. It look like means selfless or not not being selfish. Okay.
Okay, all right. Anyway,
Yeah.
I just thought that just to make this a point, just for
Yeah.
clarification. But
Yeah.
thank
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for your your question. Allow me to explain more about selflessness. I'm not sure who used this term. I can't remember. Remember Yanrong, have you read this technical term in other variables books? Or is our create?
Yeah, I have I have come across it in other texts, and I think it's sometimes people use it more in a an adjective or maybe a verb sense to mean to not act selfishly. But some people use it in the noun sense of having that quality of non-self. So it depends on how people use it and what they mean, but generally it all refers to that concept or notion of breaking away or wearing down this attachment to oneself, so that both your view of the self and the way you behave has both the quality and the results of being not selfish and therefore selfless, having that quality of selflessness as well. So often I think it's best to look at the context in which it is used to then determine whether it's meant to refer to the quality or the subsequent action that comes from that detachment to the self.
Yes,
Because
thank
I
you.
think with the language, I mean, sometimes when we read it, we have problems with the way we using British English and you guys using American English. We also have slightly different use
right.
of the same words as well. So sometimes that also can get people a bit confused with that. So it's good that you ask and that we can also explain as well. Yeah.
Yes, I just want to add one point. So when we read a Buddhist text, we need to be aware some terminology has different usage from our daily life. Okay, so for example, people usually use love, right? It's positive in our ordinary life, but in Buddhist texts, love has more negative sense when it is used. So it's not wrong about to use love. Just in Buddhist context, it has a negative usage. Okay, so just be aware of the difference. Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. It
Yes.
seems like the ultimate defilement and challenge is the attachment to self. And
Yeah.
that might be the most difficult of all defilements to overcome. Is that sound correct?
Were you saying it's difficult to overcome our self view? You mean?
Yes, I think so. For example, such defilements as bad habits or
Yes.
bad thoughts or bad acts. With practice, you can dissipate those or transform them into something positive, but just the very act of perceiving yourself as an autonomous entity is an impediment to the road to Nirvana. That's what I am getting out of most of these exercises, that attachment to self is a fundamental challenge. There is no soul that transmits from life to life.
Yeah.
And if we consider ourselves as an I, as an entity, that alone is a defilement.
Yeah, it's true. It's hard and difficult to overcome this self-view, especially the subtle form of self-view. But according to the Buddha Dharma, it's possible as long as we practice in the early Buddhism, we practice the Noble Eightfold Paths, which include the right view, right understanding, right intention, etc., etc. So through the practicing these virtues or the paths, we can gradually sort of melt the entity of self-view. It is hard, actually, but it's possible to destroy such a fundamental defilement. So we need to have the faith in Buddha's teaching, and then we start to practice. And we can gradually experience, our self-view is become less, So some you can test yourself. In the past, when I hear someone criticize me, I feel very angry, right? That's because I had a strong self-view, okay? But now I don't feel happy as well. But I start to think about why such a person criticized me. Probably something wrong with his understanding, or I not really have a self-view.
Right.
I have done something wrong with that person. So I start to reflect on the cause and conditions. So I reduce the negative mental activities. You know what I mean?
I do.
I don't get angry anymore. I just have compassion. Why such a person angry with me? So I think about the causes and condition, and what I have is compassion toward that person, not anger. Okay.
I understand. Very good.
Okay, thank you very much. So I see the Buddha statue now. Okay, so it means it's time we have to finish this talk. But before we finish, I would like to guide you to dedicate our merit. To dedicate our merit to all sentient beings. Okay. So can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay. Just with your mind following my wordings and dedicate our merits to all beings. Please join your palms. and make the joy from learning the Dharma, let the joy arise in us. With all the merits I have accumulated, from paying respects, making offerings, and confessing my faults, from appreciative joy in others' merits and requesting the Dharma, all these merits I dedicate to all beings for their safety, peace, and attainment of unsurpassed body. Thank you.
Thank you.